road to Ford Field has just begun, and halfway of the field of 256 teams have been eliminated. Good evening, and welcome to the WLEW Sports Network's presentation of The Strong Side on Sports Radio 1021. I'm Clark Ramsey, your host, and joining me tonight is a true professional, even has a license to prove it. Please welcome Dave Hansen.
Thanks, Clark. Happy to be here. We got to see an excellent football game on Friday night.
Also in studio with us is the sports editor of the Huron Daily Tribune, Paul P. Adams.
I did not get to see an excellent football game Friday night. I got to see an excellent football team, but not a great game.
Just two teams remain in the Greater Thumb Conference, Ubly and USA. They both secured victories in the first week of the postseason, and now it's just up to Deckerville in the 8-man playoffs.
But boy, were they impressive, Deckerville Eagles. Man, they were rolling on Saturday.
And this is how it's supposed to be. These are the three best teams that we have left in this area, the two champions from the Greater Thumb Conference, and one of the best teams in the state, and eight-player football with Deckerville. The cream has risen to the top, and it's only taken a week.
Tonight's edition of The Strong Side, presented by Active Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine, McCormick Owners of Pigeon, Rainey's Hunting Center, Thumb National Bank, and Sure Healthcare Network, Better Health, Better Life. Left side or right side, you're listening to The Strong Side. Left side or right side, you're listening to The Strong Side on Sports Radio 1021, home with the WLEW Sports Network. This segment of The Strong Side is presented by Active Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine. Life is painful enough, no need to feel it in your back too. That's Active Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine, just west of Light in Bed X, and now a second location in Sandusky. Clark Ramsey and Dave Hansen from WLEW Sports. Also with us, the Huron Daily Tribune sports editor, Paul P. Adams. It was week one of the postseason, and we had quite the game schedule ahead of us in the 8-player playoffs. New Haven Merritt took it to Owen Gage in the second half and defeated them 52-14. New Haven Merritt now undefeated at 10-0 on the season. Owen Gage finishes at 8-2. Both losses to New Haven Merritt of the season. Deckerville stays perfect at 9-0, taking out Weberville, shutting them out 40-0. Now Deckerville and New Haven Merritt will meet this coming week on Friday in D-Town. New Lothrop and Reese squared off in the Division 7 playoffs in New Lothrop, and New Lothrop struggled with the Rockets and defeated them with 15 points in the fourth quarter, 29-18 for the 11-point victory. New Lothrop now 9-1 on the season, and they will take on Flint Hamady, who defeated Whitmore Prescott on Friday, 26-20. Flint Hamady 8-2 on the season, and one of those two losses to Cass City, week number 1. On the other side of the region, in district number 2, our local district, the Lakers of Elkton Pigeon Bayport took on the Ubly Bearcats in Ubly on the banks of the Cass River, and it was Ubly 10-0 now on the season, taking out Lakers 52-22. As it was a big lead at halftime, and they squared off in the second half, 14 points each. And our game of the week on the WLEW Sports Network, USA hosting the Cass City Redhawks for the second time this season. And when the final buzzer rang, it was 18-14, the USA Patriots victorious for their 9th straight of the season.
Right. It was a good week one of playoffs, guys. I didn't see anything, though, that really surprised me. I know we were all personally hoping Owen Gage would upset New Haven Merritt. Clearly, New Haven beat him the first time around in Owen Gage, so you get a little bit of a rematch here. We were hoping a healthy Binder would help that team, but they got off to a good start, but after that, it looks like the wheels kind of came off, and it turned out to be a massacre.
We just talked about 5 games, and these 5 games all have one thing in common. The home team won. Home team or home field advantage means something in the playoffs, and I think it was proven really throughout the state, and especially in the region that we're looking at. You want to have home field. It just gives you that comfort level, and I think the home teams did really well, and we'll see what happens with home field this week.
And with the home field for USA, they were hosting the WLEW Sports Game of the Week. The USA Patriots hosting the Cass City Redhawks. Cass City entered the game at 6-3, USA in 8-1. And let's take a listen in to how that sounded on Friday nights under the lights on Sports Radio 1021. The regular season is nothing but a distant memory, and the road to Ford Field begins tonight. It's the Cass City Redhawks looking for revenge as the USA Patriots tried to make it 9 victories in a row. And Ryan Kine keeps it around the right side, and he rumbles in for a 15-yard score. Touchdown USA. They strike first of the night with 6:54 left in the first quarter. It's USA 6, Cass City nothing. It's a handout to the big man TJ Moore, rumbling down the field to the 5, and he's in. Touchdown Cass City. TJ Moore breaks free of 2 tackles and rumbles in from 19 yards out for the score. And now we are tied up with 10-17 left in the second quarter. USA 6, Cass City 6. Kine hands it off to Macklin Gettle. He gets tripped up before the end zone and turnover of downs for Cass City's defense. And the half ends with Cass City stopping USA on the 2-yard line. Nick Perry, credited with the tackle, stops Macklin Gettle before the end zone. And we have reached the halftime the same way we started, all tied up, except one score for both teams. It is 6-6 at halftime, and it's a Sandon Cothrell keeper, and he's into the end zone. Touchdown, Cass City. Sandon Cothrell from 6 yards out has the second score for Cass City and the first lead for the Red Hawks tonight. It comes with 53 seconds before the end of the third quarter. It is Cass City 12, USA 6. And it's a handoff to TJ Moore coming through that right gap. He gets down very close, and he's in for the 2-point. He barely gets across the end zone line. The 2-point conversion is good, and Cass City leads by 8 points, 14-6, trailing 14-6 USA. Facing a third down, goes to the air to the end zone. Tanner Foley brings it in. Touchdown USA. Ryan Kine to Tanner Foley from the 27-yard line, in for the score. He had one step in the back of the end zone, and he brought that one in. And it is a 2-point ball game with a 2-point conversion upcoming. It is Cass City 14, USA 12, 6.5 to play in regulation.
Cass City putting a nice drive together. They're at the 20-yard line. 3 minutes, 47 seconds left in the game.
It's a 1st and 10 and sound about the 60-yard line. And late in that play, USA is claiming there was a fumble. Cooper Kaufhold had the tackle in the bottom of that pile. Would be TJ Moore. The officials still checking out, and it is indeed a fumble recovery for USA. At the end of the play, TJ Moore is still pleading his case with the officials as he claims he was down, but regardless, USA recovers with 3:41 left in the fourth quarter at their own 17-yard line. So this negates any type of score from Cass City, and USA offense back on the field. T formation, working off the left hash. Kine under center, 3 men in the backfield. It's a pitch out to the right and going for the action pass a little bit, and it's brought in by number 45, Macklin Gettle. He's streaking. He's across midfield and into Cass City territory, converting on 4th down and 10 from the 18. A big completion from Tanner Foley into the hands of Macklin Gettle, finally forced out of bounds at the 46. Kine hands it off to the left side.
Josh Lang's
out for the run to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown USA. Josh Lang from 33 yards out sheds every tackler, runs untouched for the final 30 yards, and USA regains the lead with 38 seconds left. USA 18, Cass City 14. 2-point conversion still upcoming. 38 seconds left. And it's a handoff right at the middle to Tanner Foley, trying to find his way in the end zone, but looks like he's going to be stopped at the 1-yard line. 2-point conversion is no good. 38 seconds remain in the fourth quarter. It is USA leading by 4 points. USA 18, Cass City 14. Back to pass, 2 wide each way. Cothrell with time, rolling to his left. No one open. Now lets us, actually is going to be tackled inbounds. Game is over. USA comes from behind, and the Patriots are victorious. USA with their first playoff victory in over a decade. And USA goes on to the district finals as they take out Cass City in quite the historic fashion as they take the go-ahead lead with just 38 seconds left in regulation. Final score, USA 18, Cass City 14. And that's how it sounded on Friday night on Sports Radio 102.1 as USA, for the second time this season over Cass City, comes from behind in the final minute for the go-ahead score, USA 18, Cass City 14.
Just when you thought that the first time they met, you couldn't, you weren't going to see another game like that, and this happens. I mean, I was up in the booth at Ubley listening to this game, and I'm like, there's no way this is going to happen again. You know, thinking when Moore fumbled, 83-yard field, like, it just can't happen again. I'm sure all the Cass City fans are thinking the same thing. This can't happen again, and it did. And you just have to give USA all the credit in the world. An 83-yard drive. They were faced a 4th and 10. They go halfback pass with Tanner Foley. I mean, they pulled the rabbit out of the hat there, and then Lang with the big drive. Absolutely amazing. Great, just another signature win for this USA team, and a heart-wrenching loss for Cass City. What more can you say? I mean, it had everything you want in a high school football game?
Well, first thing that comes to mind is watching that USA team. They just seemed so calm, cool, and collective. And it didn't matter if they were up 5, up 20, down 20. In this case, they had their backs against the wall. Cass City was driving the ball with ease. They were down 4 or down 2. Cass City is about to score. I mean, let's face it, they were going to score. And TJ Moore fumbles, which was shocking enough. But USA not only needed a big stop or a turnover quickly, but then they needed to turn around and go 80 yards down the field on Cass City's defense. That had played well. Outside of the first drive of the night, Cass City's defense was outstanding. So they needed a couple things to happen. It went their way, but you got to credit them. They are prepared for every situation, and they have their heads on right, and they are always looking forward, and it worked out. And this USA team is for real. They're tough, and I think they're ready for the Bearcats next week.
They're tough. They're well coached. They're so well coached. This team they don't panic. That's the biggest thing that I think I've seen with this USA team this year is no matter the situation they're in, they don't get nervous. They don't shy away from their game plan. They just stick to what they know, and they come right at you. They're relentless. But they also remind me of the team that they're going to face this week too. They're going to face a mirror image of themselves. So I'm looking forward to that one. Looking ahead, but that's what they do. They don't make mistakes. They don't kill themselves.
Now that Kine has the green light and the ability to show that he can run the football from that wing T offense, now they truly do look very similar to the Bearcats, because we know Mychek is fully capable of doing that with a lot of speed. Kine now starting to do it. Both teams now can be very dangerous.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Now that Kine's got that in his back pocket, they are the mirror image of Ubly. So I still stand by the fact that it's going to be either one of these teams. I know we're skipping ahead to Ubly and USA a little bit, but one of those teams is going to have to pull something out that the other isn't ready for, like the halfback pass that we saw on that 4th and long. They're going to have to go into that bag of tricks, because I think these teams mirror each other so much.
USA ended running the ball 58 times on Friday night for 274 yards and 2 scores. Cass City not far behind off 37 carries, 215 yards, and also 2 scores. USA threw for 63 yards and a touchdown on 2 for 3 passing. Cass City 2 for 5 passing for 21 yards on the night. USA led the way by Josh Lang, 19 carries for 92 yards and a score. Macklin Ghetto also 19 carries for 77 yards. Tanner Foley 12 carries, 71 yards. And quarterback Ryan Kine 7 carries for 33 yards and another rushing touchdown. Impressive numbers from USA. They got the job done when they needed to. 9 victories in a row, and now they face the foe that gave them their only loss back in week number 1, the Ubly Bearcats.
Both teams are so much better than they were in week 1. They're not different by any means. They're just better at what they do. I witnessed Ubly just take apart the Lakers on Friday, and to me that was their best offensive performance of the year. That was still a banged up Lakers team, but still a good team with a lot of pride. And I mean, Ubly just absolutely tore their hearts out by the middle of the second quarter. It was 30-0. I mean, it was an absolute clinic. Mychek looked fantastic. I mean, it is Mychek's team now, with all the seniors behind him, and he's the clear leader of the team, I think. And as he goes, that team's going, and that to me was really impressive. So USA definitely had their hands full, but on the other side, so does Ubly. They're looking in the mirror at each other. Both of these teams are just looking in the mirror at each other.
Oh, I think USA wants this game badly. They're the reason they're not perfect right now is because they lost to Ubly right out of the chute. So you know that they're savoring at this opportunity to get some revenge on the Bearcats. Now the other side of things, the Bearcats have it rolling. They are playing fantastic. So I expect a very excellent football game, a clean game. But if there's a turnover in that game, that's it right there, because you can't make a mistake against these defenses.
And most importantly, it's going to be a fast game, which I did not witness on Friday night. It was a very slow, no pace to the game that I was at. So I would encourage, and it's just so much. I'm sure it's easier for you guys to call, and it's a lot easier for me to watch and write about when it's a little bit more flow. So I think USA and Ubly will, they're going to be ground and pound. They're not going to reinvent the wheel in a week. They're going to do what they're going to do. They're going to run about 4 or 5 plays, and they're going to see what works.
For Cass City, they were led by Brad Hacker, who had a big night, 15 carries, 87 yards. Unfortunately, had their first fumble that did not cause any damage. TJ Moore, 12 carries, 83 yards, and a touchdown. The other fumble. So Saden Cothrell, 5 carries for 33 yards, and the other rushing touchdown. Cothrell through the air was 2 for 5 for 21 yards. Cole Chippy brought in 1 for 15 yards. Brendan Hamilton 1 for 3 on 6 yards altogether. Cass City finishes the season at 6-4. And after beating with the last 4 games of the season to make it into the playoffs, automatic berth, they've really surged through this season.
Yeah, they were 2-3, and they were facing an elimination game every single week to end the season. They won 4 straight. A huge win over Reese to really was their signature win in that stretch to get in. 3 years in a row they've been to the playoffs, but this kind of closes the door on what we've seen from Cass City. They did not have a JV team this year, and I think that's going to hurt this program in the future, and I think it's going to start hurting them next year. You're going to see the ramifications of not having that junior varsity team. A lot of seniors on this team as well. A lot of guys that TJ Moore, Hacker, just to name a few, that we're not going to see again, and they're not going to be replaced by guys of that caliber. So I'm it's a real question mark what the future holds for Cass City.
Yeah, I agree with you, but they do have some young playmakers. If I'm not mistaken, I think Nick Perry's back for 1 more year. Saden Cothrell is just a freshman. He showed some ability to throw the football, and I think depending on the athletes that come up, they could be a team that could diversify their offense into maybe a little bit more spread. They showed it a little bit when they needed to throw the ball. They spread it out, let him throw the ball. Obviously, it wasn't run as well as we've seen other teams run it, but I think there's some options to, if they're not going to be as big and as fast as they've been, you got to do things different. And I think Coach Troy Schelke here in Harbor Beach has done it as good as anybody has. Hey, we can't push you teams around, so we're going to spread it out and make you cover us a different way. So I don't think the door is fully closed in Cass City, but they're going to take a big hurt after this year, losing a lot of important players, a lot of big-name guys. But you're right. USA won 8 games in a row going into this one, and Cass City had 4 games in a row. So both teams were hot, red hot, and, I think that's why you and I had picked Cass City to win that game. We truly thought that this could not happen again. They had the ability to win, and they were hungrier than USA. We really thought that after the way USA played against Harbor Beach. But we were proven wrong again. USA, they seem to find ways to win games, and that's what good teams do.
USA, back in week number 3 when they beat Cass City, put together a 14-play, 75-yard drive that covered 2 minutes and 45 seconds and scored while time is expiring. In Friday's game, they put together a 9-play, 83-yard drive covering 3 minutes and 3 seconds and scored with 38 seconds. USA now advances to next week to take on the Ubly Bearcats on the road, who is 10-0 on the season, winning 10 in a row. It's time for our first short break of the Strong Side. When we return, we'll take a look at the Lakers and Ubly game in Weberville and Deckerville right here on Sports Radio 1021. Playoff time on Sports Radio 1021, home of the WLEW Sports Network. You're listening to The Strong Side every Sunday at 7 p.m. throughout the entire season with Clark Ramsey, Dave Hansen from the Huron Daily Tribune, Paul P. Adams. On the other side of our region was the Ubly Bearcats and the Elkton Pigeon Bayport Lakers squaring off, and this winner of this game would go on to play eventually USA Patriots. In the first quarter, Ubly comes out strong. Derek Brown scores twice on a 6-yard run and a 22-yard run. And then Matt Mychek with a 38-yard keeper makes it Ubly 22-0 at the end of the first quarter over the Lakers. And they're not done. In the second quarter, the Bearcats, Nathan Keller, 23-yard run. 2-point conversion is good. And suddenly it's a 30-0 ball game still in the second. 2:03 before halftime, Jacob Kretschmer finally scores for the Lakers. 2-point conversion is good. The Green and White are on the board, trailing by 22 points, 30-8. The Ubly Bearcats' Jonathan Brandel then, with a 4-yard run, 2-point conversion is good, brings them back out to 30 points, 38-8, and that is how the halftime score would read, 38-8. In the third quarter, here come the Lakers. Brendan Wisner with an 18-yard run. The 2-point conversion fails, and it's 38-14. Ubly responds with a Dominic Rosenthal rumble, 1-yard dive into the end zone, and that's what I call a dive. With a 2-point conversion is good. It's 46-14 Ubly. Lakers with their last score of the night in the third quarter. Brendan Wisner, 19-yard pass to Keegan Valentine. 2-point conversion was good, 46-22. And for good measure, Ubly's Derek Brown with a 4-yard run. 2-point conversion fails, and its final score, Ubly 52. Ubly moves on to now 10-0, taking out Lakers 52-22.
I was at Ubly last year, and they hosted a playoff game. They hosted Cass City, and Ubly looked completely overwhelmed, not ready for the moment. That did not happen again. This is a senior loaded team. They looked focused, ready, comfortable, and it just proved it, like going up 22-0 in the first quarter, adding another touchdown in the second quarter, going up 30-0. They left no doubt about who was going to win this game. They settled in so quickly, forced Lakers to, the first two possessions were 2 3-and-outs. Lakers just could not move the ball against this defense, and that's what we kind of wondered. We knew Lakers came in and they want to put their guys in space, spread you out, make you a little bit uncomfortable. But I thought Ubly did such a good job of containing and pushing them back to the middle and not letting them get in space. Obviously, I would have loved to have seen Lakers at full strength. Hunter Seeley out with a knee injury, and that plays a huge factor in Lakers' game plan. But nonetheless, Brendan Wisner did play, and I thought he played brilliantly at times. That touchdown he threw to Keegan Valentine was a dime. I mean, it was as good a throw as it was a catch, but there just wasn't enough there for the Lakers, and they simply had no answer for the run game whatsoever. Almost 500 yards on the ground for the Bearcats, and they put 4 guys in triple figures. I mean, you just don't see that, 4 guys over 100 yards. It was a totally dominating performance from start to finish for Ubly.
Well, there had to be no way Brendan Wisner was 100%, but when you take a guy like Hunter Seeley and you take him away from your team, that's 2 injuries, because he is arguably one of your best linebackers, defensive back, wherever they decide to let him roam. And then he's your best running back, and you take that away, and it's losing your best player on both sides of the ball. So clearly they were not the same team that we had seen the first 5-6 weeks throughout the year. But nonetheless, this just goes to show you they're still a very talented team, and Ubly destroyed them. And it wasn't just one guy, but the more Matt Mychak plays, the better this team gets. And when you start adding in guys like Nathan Keller, he runs for 100 yards and a score. I expect what I've seen from Derek Brown and Jonathan Brandel. I expect it every week. These guys are ball players, but they can't carry everything every week by themselves. So when you get those guys like Mychak and Keller chipping in, boy, does that make life a lot easier. Derek Brown and Brandel can run and not have to run over 2 or 3 guys to get 6 or 7 yards. All of a sudden, they get a little easier job too. And that is what's making this team better, is the more everyone contributes, the better it'll be for your superstars in Brown and Brandel. And I've mentioned every week on this show, and I'll say it again, the better Dominic Rosenthal plays, the better that defense is. He is a boss.
Just dreaming.
He is a boss on defense. He is the man, and he is the heart and soul of that defense.
As a photographer, to shoot the wing tee offense, you have to shoot it from behind. You try to shoot the wing tee straight on, it's just a guessing game. You have no idea who's going to get the ball. So in order to shoot it, you shoot it from behind. That way I can see who's getting the handoffs. Matt Mychak was carrying out his fakes so well. He faked me out 3 times, and that doesn't happen. I'm a pretty seasoned photographer, and he faked me out 3 times in that where I thought either Brown or Brandel had it. And especially on Brown's 6-yard run, that was set up by a 72-yard run by Mychak, where I didn't know he had it. I don't even know if his teammates knew he had it. Then he was gone, and he's not the speediest of guys, and he was tracked down. But he had over 100 yards rushing in the first quarter, and it was due to his ball faking abilities. He was truly a thing to watch or not see in this case.
Sounds like a broadcaster's nightmare for this coming week between the fakes of USA and Ubly.
Well, just going to say, you mentioned USA. We talked about that in the first quarter a lot. We're getting names wrong and trying to figure out who's got the ball.
It's miserable.
And Ryan Kine, when he runs 20 yards down the field and has to run back to the sideline, whether he has the ball or not. He runs hard way beyond where the defense actually is. And you got to kind of look over there once in a while, because there was a couple of times he had it, and he went for big gains. He scored a touchdown. And the more Mychek gets comfortable, the more he starts doing a little extra, and that's what's starting to that's the telltale for me that he is getting more comfortable in the offense, and all of a sudden these fakes are getting even better, making them more dangerous.
Deadly Bearcats defeated USA in week number 1. That's their opponent this coming week. The first time they met up was Ubly 28-18 over USA. USA now 9-1, rattling off 9 straight victories since that loss. Ubly at 10-0. Lakers finished the season at 7-3. They started the season out at 6-0, and they finished 1-3. Switching gears to 8-player football, Deckerville Eagles took on Weberville. They hosted them on Saturday at 1 p.m., and it was all Deckerville all day long. In the first quarter, 7:22 into the first, Austin Fritch with a 2-yard run. The 2-point conversion from Patello makes it 8-0. That's the score at the end of the first quarter. In the second quarter, Deckerville scores twice, both from Austin Fritch as well. A 38-yard run and a 1-yard run. Patello with both 2-point conversions. It's 24-0 at halftime, Deckerville. Third quarter, Wade Saldana gets a 2-yard run. 2-point conversion from Cole Rumzik is good. It's 32-0 Deckerville. Then in the fourth quarter, another score with 9:50 remaining in regulation. Wade Saldana with his second score of the day. A 3-yard run, a 2-point conversion from Cole Rumzik makes it 40-0. Deckerville posts the shutout on Weberville to improve to 9-0 on the season and to take on New Haven Merritt this coming week.
A lot of big numbers in this game, but the most important number to me is the smallest number, the 0 that Weberville had. This is an offense now through 9 games, or defense now through 9 games for Deckerville that's allowed 32 points. This is a championship caliber defense. They were facing a Weberville quarterback that was a true dual threat. He had almost 800 yards rushing, 1,200 yards passing, so he could beat you in the air and with his legs, and he was completely shut down. He was a deep ball threat. Coach Brown, when I talked to him earlier in the week, they were concerned about that. They really don't face teams that like to throw the ball deep. Well, they shut that down, and you know how they shut that down? They put pressure on the quarterback. That defensive line and linebackers made that quarterback very uncomfortable, and all that equates to is a dominating first-round performance for Deckerville.
I don't think Deckerville really has a weakness, and I don't say that about many teams around here, but offensively, the offensive line protects the quarterback, but in this game, they didn't have to show a lot. This was another regular season game for them in their mind. They're just going to go out and take care of business until you throw them the competition that they want, and they're going to continue to roll through opponents. They keep playing offensively and defensively the way they are, but again, when you see the same 2 guys score all game long, they haven't even begun to open their playbook. This is chapter 1, and they have a lot more that they can throw you at any time, but this team can score at will, and it's tough to score on them. And like you said, Paul, that shows me that they're ready for a championship run.
And make no mistake, this isn't just a one-dimensional Deckerville team that they just want to ground and pound. Patello can go to the air. They have great play-action stuff. They don't just run the wing tee. They're running all sorts of different formations now, and you have to respect the play-action with a team that can run like they do with Fritch. I mean, when you run play-action with Fritch, my first instinct as a defender is going to be going after the ball carrier, and that's going to leave some guys wide open. So when they have to, it's there, but why show it if you don't have to?
Well, and Patello can certainly run the ball just as well. Talk about dual threat. He can certainly get up the field too, keep it himself. So he reads the defenses very well, and this team is rolling on all cylinders.
Here's a trivia question for you boys. Deckerville is averaging 43.1 points a game on offense. Any idea what their average is on defense?
Well, 32 points through 9 games. So
3.5. Yeah. 3.5 per game. They've posted 5 shutouts. 3 more games where they've only allowed 1 touchdown. And the remaining game is 1 game where they allowed 2 touchdowns, but didn't allow an extra point.
Coach Brown called this maybe the best defense that they've ever had in school history. And as the numbers keep racking up and as the shutouts keep piling up, I think you got to agree that this defense is absolutely for real. It's loaded with seniors. Everybody, almost every defensive player that they have is a senior. It starts with Austin Spatzel and Reese Bays-Kramer. Those 2 are absolute studs that I believe both of those guys should get all-state consideration for what they've done with this defense. And you're going to have to find ways to score on Deckerville. Only one team's even gone double digits on Deckerville, and that was Rudyard way back in the middle of the season.
Right, and you look back at that trivia question you just gave us, Clark, and then if we had the ability to do it quickly, I'd like to know how many of those touchdowns were given up in the first half, and how many of them were even given up in the third quarter. What I'm getting at, garbage time touchdowns, you take those away, and they've given up very few touchdowns that have even mattered in these games.
I believe Rudyard is the only team that scored on Deckerville in the first half. I might be mistaken on that, but I do not believe that they have given up many first half touchdowns at all.
Rudyard was 36-12 at halftime. Deckerville was leading, and that's the only time Deckerville has been scored on in the entire first half.
So
through the first three quarters, actually.
Because when you have younger kids on your team, the second half, when you're up 36-0, that's a great time to get those guys in there. So that's the crew that's given up that one touchdown in the fourth quarter. Garbage time touchdown. That's not even your offensive guy.
Your second string allowed one touchdown.
Exactly. Your second string is allowing the one touchdown of the game. So that just... that's how you keep that program going. You get the younger kids and get them in a half every weekend. Your starters get to rest. But this defense is for real. So that stat to me is even bloated. They've given up even less than that in my mind. So this defense is the best we've seen in a long time.
1.3 then.
And the great thing is we have a state championship caliber defense on one side of the bracket and a record-setting offense on the other side of the bracket. And folks, they are heading for a collision course. Unless something happens, it's going to be Powers North and Deckerville in the state championship game, featuring an offense and a defense. I cannot wait to see how that matches up. I mean, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but hey, that's what we do in the media.
7:35 on Sports Radio 102.1. Left side or right side, you're listening to The Strong Side on Sports Radio 102.1. Listen to the WLEW Sports Network in more ways than ever before. Tune in to Sports Radio 102.1. Download the Cruise 102 app on your Apple or Android device, or listen live and worldwide at WLEWsports.com. This segment of The Strong Side is presented by Thumb National Bank and Trust, going wherever you are with online banking and a mobile app designed just for you. Thumb National Bank and Trust, locations in Pigeon, Caseville, Cass City, and those two locations in Bay City, and now a location in Bad Axe. Hey, let's take a look at the other side of the 8-man bracket with Deckerville taking on the winner of New Haven Merritt and Owen Gage. And Owen Gage came on first, 2:33 left in the first quarter. Owen Gage's Jake Warhack with a 27-yard run to put OG on top first. With the two-point version is good. It's 8-0 Bulldogs. In the second quarter, 10 seconds in, New Haven Merritt on the first play of the quarter. Tim Champlin with a 6-yard run. Two-point conversion is good. We are tied. 8:56 before the half. New Haven Merritt with their second score of the day. An 85-yard pass to Matthew Shather. Two-point conversion is good. Merritt up by 8 at halftime, 16-8. In the third quarter, Bulldogs respond first. And Owen Gage, David Binder, 5-yard keeper. Two-point conversion fails, and Owen Gage is trailing just by 2 points. But then the wheels fell off. New Haven Merritt scored 36 unanswered points in the second half to finish out the game, and New Haven Merritt wins 52-14 to advance to 10-0 on the season, their first postseason victory in school history. And New Haven Merritt hands Owen Gage their only 2 losses of the season. The Bulldogs finish up at 8-2 overall.
I'm not surprised that New Haven won this game. They won the first matchup, but I am just shocked when I heard this score Friday night, 52-14. I didn't expect it. I actually picked Owen Gage to win. Owen Gage was healthier going into this game than they were the first time that they faced New Haven Merritt, and I really thought that was going to be a factor. They were very evenly matched the first time, and I thought through 2.5 quarters at least, we were kind of heading to the same game, and then New Haven put the hammer down and really pulled away. So that's, to me, what shocks me more than anything. Not that Owen Gage lost, but by the score, I just did not expect that.
Neither did I, but New Haven Merritt's got something rolling here, but it was a good win for them, because Owen Gage, they're a tough team. It's a good win for New Haven Merritt, but I agree with you. I thought the first game was a one-score game, if I'm not mistaken, and it was
36-32.
It was a very close game the first time around. So you just thought it was going to be another great battle. Owen Gage wants to get up and win this game, get a little payback, but now New Haven Merritt is the team that prevented them from being undefeated and knocked them out of the playoffs, and that's got to leave a bad taste in their mouth.
New Haven Merritt now takes on Deckerville this coming Friday at Deckerville, who is 9-0 on the season and looking to move on. In 11-player division, in the Division 7, on the other side of our region, New Lothrop took on Reese. And in the first quarter, there was no score. In the second quarter, Reese comes out hot and, in fact, scores 3 times. 9:14 before the half, Galster touchdown pass to Ty Childers. PAT fails. 2:32 left in the half. Mitchell Bender with a rushing touchdown. PAT fails. And 1:12 before the half is over. Jake Galster with a quarterback keeper. 2-point conversion fails. And it is 18-14 after New Lothrop responds twice, but leading by 4 at half over the 8-1 New Lothrop
Hornets.
I forget. I ask every time I ask you that. I can never remember. Third quarter, there's still no score. Still 18-14 Reese leading entering the last 12 minutes. Unfortunately for Reese, New Lothrop scores twice, 11:57 and 5:17 in the fourth. Eric Birchmeyer with both the quarterback for New Lothrop with both touchdowns, a 60-yard run and then a 1-yard dive. Puts New Lothrop ahead by 11, 29-18. Reese with no response. And New Lothrop advances to 9-1 the season to take on Flint Hamady, who is 8-2 and has won 6 in a row. Mind you, Flint Hamady lost New Lothrop back on September 16th to New Lothrop, 51-16.
I know in the second half of my game when Hubley had Lakers quite in hand, everybody was asking me, "You got a New Lothrop score?" Everybody kind of knew that Reese was leading 18-14 at halftime, and we're pulling for Reese to win because obviously that would mean a home game for either Hubley or USA from that district championship. It didn't happen, but I think what it did show is New Lothrop is vulnerable right now. Reese is a pretty good team, but not quite up to that level of Hubley or USA. So I think whoever wins between Hubley and USA has to feel real good about themselves going into New Lothrop. Our Greater Thorne Conference teams have a great track record of going over to New Lothrop and having good success over there, especially the Wing T teams. New Lothrop, over the years has struggled with that offense. So if I'm USA or Hubley, I feel pretty good about my chances going over there and facing the Hornets.
I think we'll get a really good test on how good New Lothrop is when they play Flint Hamady, because keep in mind that New Lothrop already did beat him, but again, this is a different Flint Hamady team, but Cass City beat Flint Hamady as well. And we know how good and tough Cass City is, and they're already out of this district. So you got USA and Hubley, 2 teams that also beat Cass City in this. I think the cards are starting to line up a little bit to see how good is this New Lothrop team, because at one point we all thought, well, we're going to get New Lothrop and we're going to lose, whoever our team is. Not looking that way anymore. I kind of like our area's team's odds of beating this New Lothrop team. But you mentioned that the Wing T teams have an advantage over New Lothrop, and I would disagree with you. I think the Greater Thumb teams are just flat out more physical, and New Lothrop doesn't like those teams that get up under your face mask and drill you every single time, because Harbor Beach, when they went over to New Lothrop that year, They were not a Wing T team. They were a spread team. They spread it and threw it all over them and still run it from the spread because they were more physical. Hubley went over there the years before that and beat them, and they were more physical. And New Lothrop isn't used to getting popped in the mouth a few times, and our teams are used to doing that to each other.
And I give New Lothrop credit. They kind of changed their ways. You got to look like about pre-2008, 2009, and after that. Before that, they did not play a good schedule. They didn't try to beef up their schedule, and I give them a lot of credit. They went out. They started playing St. Francis. They started taking on Newville.
At one time, they played all conference games, if I'm not mistaken, so they couldn't even really reach out.
And so they beefed up their schedule. They started going out there, challenging themselves. It ended up they got a state championship out of that, and they become a team that's become a state power. That I know when I vote in the Associated Press poll, I'm always looking at New Lothrop. If they're undefeated, I give them that benefit of the doubt because I know that they're a tough team and they have taken some of those really traditional powers right to the limit.
Here's their schedule. So they ended up 7-0 in league play and 9-0 over, or 8-1 overall. They started the year at Saginaw Novell and they beat them 33-8. Away at Burton Bentley 56-0. Genesee 57-0. Flint Hamady 51-16. Byron 27-14. Duran 49-6. Burton Atherton 27-6. Burton Bendel 62-27. And then their other non-conference games, Saginaw MLS 20-24 is when they lost in week 9.
So there's only 2 playoff teams that they faced. They beat Flint Hamady. They lost to MLS. The rest of those teams, quite frankly, that league is not very good. But to their credit, their non-conference games, they go out. Saginaw, well, actually, Nouvell's a playoff team.
Wait a second. Now, Saginaw,
don't forget about the Catholics.
Yeah, I forgot about Nouvelle, but so I give them credit. Their non-conference schedule, they went out. Those are all playoff teams.
Saginaw Novell's been up and down the last few years, but we know they're a big quality school with big numbers. They're going to come to play. So they handled them very well. Saginaw MLS, we've seen a couple years ago. I believe it was over in Lakers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And they were a very impressive team in their own right. So I do agree with you. Their schedule is a little tougher. They're becoming more battle tested, and it's an advantage to them. But we'll see how they do in the rematch against Flint Hamady.
It's time for our last break of the Strong Side. When we return, we'll take a look to week number 11 of the postseason, week number 2, district finals on Sports Radio 102.1. Hey, hi, how are you? You're listening to The Strong Side. This segment being brought to you by McCormick Motors of Pigeon, home of the honest sale. See Marion Shetler or Alec McCormick today and see why all roads lead to McCormick Motors of Pigeon. Good news, boys, I don't need to go there again. My car is not totaled, just $13,000 in damage, that's all. And we'll have it back by Wednesday.
Oh, so congratulations,
yes,
I guess.
I'm so excited.
I can tell.
Yes. Let's take a look at the schedule upcoming for this week. Not many local games, obviously, so there's 256 games in the entire postseason. We played 128 of them this weekend already. So it's thinning out very quickly. District finals for 11-man, regional finals for 8-man. And our game of the week on the WLEW Sports Network will be the Ubly Bearcats hosting the Unionville-Sebring Patriots, if that's any surprise for anyone.
Well, and it doesn't get any better from there because obviously with all of our teams in the same district, all of our local teams get knocked out to 1, and then that leaves Deckerville, so we'll be down to 2 at most after this weekend.
Right. When this Division 7 district was starting to become a reality, this was a dream for me because it keeps all my teams together and they start eliminating each other, and it's a lot easier to keep track of them. If we would have had a Division 8 team, like we've had Harbor Beach, in the past few years, obviously that throws another wrinkle into our coverage, but everything is nice and tidy right now. For us, we have 2 games to cover. Seth will be down covering Deckerville and New Haven Merritt, and I'll be over in Ubly for USA.
Flint Hamady and New Lothrop are on the other side of the Region 2 in District 7, which the winner of Unionville-Sebring and Ubly will go on to play, either New Lothrop or Flint Hamady. I have no clue what Flint Hamady's booth looks like, but I'm rooting for anyone that plays against New Lothrop.
Well, actually, yeah.
We would have Ubly or USA before Flint Hamady. So.
Flint Hamady would have to come, so
they would have to come to our area.
That would be fantastic.
Selfish reasons, I'm a big Flint Hamady fan. I don't know if they can overcome they were handed a pretty good loss in the regular season to New Lothrop, but if they were to win, that would mean Ubly or USA would host.
So let me clarify why I despise New Lothrop so much. Dave, that was 2012. Harbor Beach traveled to New Lothrop to take on the Hornets. And so they put us in what I guess would be considered a small concession stand. Is we're up in the booth, and it's an indoor-outdoor booth, which, of course, I love. We have an open-air booth, but the window is actually one of those concession stand doors that drives up. And then we have a shelf of about 6 inches wide that we can put all of our gear on. And we can't see even the scoreboard. I had to open the side door to the booth in order to see the scoreboard. Miserable broadcast setup, but It was a great outcome.
It's like a deer hunting shack, but smaller.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was pretty much. That's about it.
And we had 4 people in there, so we're looking forward to it once again.
Absolutely, it's a cozy confinement.
Get to know my partner very well there. In 8-man football, we have the Deckerville Eagles taking on New Haven Merit Academy. I have no clue what New Haven Merit is.
They're the Mustangs.
The Mustangs, and that will be in Deckerville this Friday at 7 p.m. Best of luck to the Eagles, and I foresee no issues for Deckerville this week.
Absolutely no issues. I don't think. I think at this point in the season, and Dave and I were talking about this on the way over, is I think Deckerville is really taking pride in that defense right now, and they quite simply do not even want to be scored upon unless they have to be. And I don't think New Haven, with the schedule that they played, has seen anything like Deckerville's defense. I predict another shutout for Deckerville.
Right. I don't know if it'll be a shutout or not. I can't foresee them going up 40-0 and playing their starters incredibly hard in the entire fourth quarter. I think that's an opportunity to get those younger kids in. JV, for example, get those guys in. If you give up a 6-pointer, I don't foresee that being the end of the world, but I'm not Coach Brown. I don't know how close to records you possibly are, but to me, that's a great experience and program builder for the young guys who've been there every day since day one. So I don't know if this shutout is exactly important to me, but a 40-6 win would be extremely impressive.
The last thing you want to do is get a starter hurt.
Exactly.
You know, if you let your ego get a hold of get the best of you, and you get an Austin Spatzel hurt or a Reese Bays Kramer hurt in the fourth quarter, trying to prevent a shutout, that could potentially help prevent you from winning a state championship. So you're absolutely right, Dave. But I even think that the younger kids
are good enough.
They're good enough, and they're getting pushed every day by those starters. So I think those younger kids are getting the preparation they need to, and it's a pride thing over in Deckerville now. 32 points through 9 games. This is a historic defense, and I think they're going to keep it rolling.
And you think about it, how many more games can the JV and younger kids get? They've been in every single game, 10 games now, or 9 games now, where they've seen actual live action.
True, but now it's playoff football. You're starting to play a lot of different teams from outside of your area that you may not see ever again, or maybe the following year. So this is crucial for them as a program. It's a big statement game for them, and hopefully they can keep it rolling.
And, of course, USA and Ubley on Sports Radio 102.1, home of the WLEW Sports Network. Game of the week this coming Friday at coverage starting at 6:10 p.m. Kickoff at 7. Final thoughts from that, gentlemen?
Oh, I think it's going to be a dandy. We said it all along. 2 mirror image teams. I think both of these teams, in order to win, they're going to have to do something different, pull a trick play or something out of their hat.
It should be a fairly low-scoring affair, and I think a touchdown or less probably prevents these two from I don't see any way it's more than a touchdown separating these two. They are both very good teams on both sides of the football.
USA at Ubley this Friday on Sports Radio 102.1. Tonight's edition was brought to you by Active Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine, McCormick Motors of Pigeon, Randy Sunny Center, Thumb National Bank and Trust, and Sure Healthcare Network, Better Health, Better Life. On behalf of Paul Adams, Dave Hansen, I'm Clark Ramsey. We thank you for listening to The Strong Side. We'll see you Friday night on WLEW Sports.